From the shores of Puget Sound, this is Greener Views, a unique media resource for information, education, consultation, and fun. Greener Views is a part of the Healthy Homecast Network and is brought to you exclusively by HealthyPainting.com and AmbrosiaDigitalMedia.com. Each episode will introduce and connect you with services, products, practices, organizations, and groups that focus on the health, happiness, safety, well-being, charity, and community of all. Find us on the web at www.greenerviews.net. And now, your host, Daryl Whalen.
Okay, well, good evening and welcome to episode 38 of Greener Views. I'm Daryl Whalen, along with audio producer, engineer Randy Parcell, and video producer, engineer Michael Schwartz. Joining us this evening is David Krafchick and David Hawkins from The Break Director LLC, that is. Greener Views is sponsored by Greener Views is HealthyPainting.com and AmbrosiaDigitalMedia.com. To advertise, be a sponsor, or donate, please contact info@greenerviews.net or call 206-650-4587. So we usually get rolling by talking about how I know the guests, or if I do, or how I met them. And David Krafchick and I had met at a seminar or workshop that
video role play.
A video role playing workshop. I'm thinking back, it was about a year and a half ago. I believe we had about 4 episodes of what was Healthy Homecast at the time, and it was talking about how to act and behave and within a.
Basically, you're dealing with the ability of body language going along with everything else when you're acting in front of the camera or acting in the stage. Your body language is the last thing that a small business person thinks about. So it was designed to use exercises from theater plus video, so you could say, as they said many years ago, let's go to the videotape and take a look and see what we find out. It was a way to teach people to be more sensitive to their body language.
Yeah, it was a great little workshop that I remember, but the big thing is I remember about the Break Director, and he talked about it a little bit in the class, and we hadn't even really been doing much with the podcast at the moment, but I had kept his information, and then it wasn't but 6-8 months, almost a year later, that I looked you up on the internet and asked you to be a part of this, correct?
Absolutely.
So, and you're here, and now we're at episode 38.
Congratulations.
So welcome, and thanks for joining us. Why don't you give us the brief elevator pitch, however you guys want to run this. What is the Break Director?
You do it, David.
Well, the Break Director is it's an interface device. Normal bikes have handbrakes. Normal handbrake-equipped bicycles do, in fact, have handbrakes. And so if you have need of using just one of your hands, you don't have the capability that 2 hands have using the 2 brakes. And Break Director is an interface unit that can be plugged in that allows one brake lever to control the 2 brakes and give the brakes the power that they would normally have with 2 hands.
Great. Give us an idea of the types of people or the types of situations that people would be in their life that they would be able to really take advantage of this. We know that that's not exclusive to that, but let's start off with that side of it first.
Well, it's the disabled community. I mean, think of it this way. Back in 1988, I was with a girlfriend who rode a bicycle, and I went to my doctor and said, I want to ride a bicycle with her. And he says, well, David, you need a 1-lever braking system of some kind to do that because you don't have a spare hand. And so we went to every bicycle shop that was in the area, and the strangest thing was they kept on saying, well, we've never done it, but there's this guy in Bellevue you should talk to. So we finally came to David at which shop were we with at that time? Montlake?
Montlake Bike Shop had a branch store setup I set up for the store in Old Bellevue, it was called. Main Street Mountain Bikes was the name of the store.
Yeah.
And mainly it was a mountain bike store, as the name would indicate. And so that's where I was, and we were in our first year there.
And that was 1988?
Yes.
And you're the one that you had heard that he had been working on something like that, or had it already been developed, or was it just something you were chit-chatting about?
Well, neither one of us knew what we were getting ourselves into at the time. It was just a sort of trying to figure out how I could ride a bicycle.
Yeah, for my own part, I just know that when David came to me and said I'd been referred to you, all I had to credit that to was that I had done a lot of adaptive technology solutions for people that had come into stores, a couple of stores I'd been working in, for various solutions, had special disability needs or other needs, positioning needs, things like that. And I was doing some adaptive technical solutions on crank arms, pedals, brake systems, gear systems, things like that. And so I guess I got to be known a little bit for doing that kind of thing.
So up until that point, what type of opportunities were people with those types of situations and challenges?
Well,
how did they ride a bicycle, or did they?
Well, the normal way that it's been done, and even in what is called bicycle polo, like in Maryland where I grew up, they do bicycle polo by taking two cables and plugging it into a single lever. And David can do the technical side, but it basically means one brake is going to be fantastic and the other brake is going to be struggling to give you the same stopping power.
Yeah, there's an obvious application there in that, it's the game of polo, and one of your hands is entirely taken up with the activity of swinging a mallet at a ball. So you only have one hand to use for brake control on the bike. And the systems employed on polo bikes have been fairly crude do-it-yourself systems, so people just sort of nesting two brake levers next to each other or adapting a shift lever and using the thumb lever to operate the brakes. So it's a little bit clumsy. The brake director is just one graceful lever pull that does the whole thing for you.
Cool. No, that's really neat. When I was 18 years old, there was a family that I grew up with since I was a little kid, and my friend's grandmother, her husband had passed away, and she was like 80 years old and never driven a car in her entire life. And before her husband passed away, he had both of his legs amputated, and he still drove a car with it. It was all like levers and all stuff. And when he had passed away, and I took her up to the grocery store every week, and I had to figure out how to drive that car like that. And it was fairly easy to figure out, and I'd never seen anything or heard of anything like that since.
Well, in the bicycle world, there are hand bicycles, and that's a common technology that's available now. It's, you do this.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Or this, whatever you choose to set up.
So, when did you start it as a company officially, or when did you put the first product together? When was the first product sold? Why don't you give us a little rundown on each of those things?
Well, the very first product that was sold was in a raffle at Temple Beth Am. Somebody bought it at auction, and we put it on.
Sweet.
And his reaction was over the river, out in outer space, thought it was the greatest thing. And he says, "You should sell 1 million of them." And I'm saying, I just want to make sure I sell enough that we break even to start with. But that was our first sale. Our company went into reality on March 25th, 2003. Our website went live about a year later, and within a month, our first sale was to England, which blew our mind. I turned to David and say, "Well, we're starting out as an international company. Don't have to worry about breaking into that side of the part." But
yeah,
basically, that's the way it was.
It's interesting. I think at this point we've actually had more international sales than domestic sales.
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah. Sold to England, to France, New Zealand, Australia, where else? Canada. Quite a few to Canada.
Cool.
Yeah.
So 2003, that was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, well, we've broken the normal. Normally, small businesses die within the first 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Ireland.
Ireland.
Ireland too. Yes, we did Ireland. No, the thing is you've got to manage, as any company, you have to manage your finances and you have to build product. One of the biggest amazing stories is when we first were trying to figure out how much it would cost. We got everything from, it'll cost you $400 to build to get the parts, to $1,000 to get the part, and we found a company in Arizona that would produce the parts at a fraction of that cost.
To go back and clarify some of this, I made all the brake directors entirely by hand from scratch.
Wow.
I used hand drills, hacksaws, hand files, bench grinder, polishing wheel. I did everything by hand myself. Tapped the threads, made sure everything was precise and finished. And as I was walking around to various machine shops in the area, I was getting these insane quotes. Like I went up to one place in Mill Creek. The guy quoted me $2,500
for what?
Just for one.
That's Mill Creek.
One test set of parts with setup fee.
Ah, okay, yeah, $2,500.
So, that was a little outside the budget for profit.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I want to say is that we've always produced parts and manufactured in the United States, always. So we've been made in America long before ABC did their Made in America version.
Not only in the United States, but it started out right over there in, would it start in Bellevue, or did it start?
Well, not only in the United States, in Washington State.
There you go.
In the Puget Sound area.
In the Puget Sound area, we love it. Yeah, well, I come from a family, my father's a retired tool and die maker, and when I went to high school and stuff, machine shop was something pretty much most of the guys, even some of the gals took.
We had machine shop in my high school. I took that for 1 year.
Yeah, well, you must have been good at it. Talk to us about, we like to talk about the business end of things a little bit. Why don't you talk about each of your roles and responsibilities and the titles that you help take on within the company?
Well, as an LLC, we set it up as a membership LLC so that there are no titles per se. We have equal responsibility for the company. We have different roles. Like in a member's setup, there has to be what is called a registered agent, which is the contact person. And I've taken that role. Everything else is there is no group of people or individuals with certain responsibilities. You can set up an LLC, a limited liability company, any way you want. It just limits the liability of the company and it keeps all your personal assets off the table. I'm the guinea pig. I have basically tested every single version, and my favorite one was the one that looked like a sardine can, because everybody would stop me and say, "What in the world is that? I've never seen that." And when I explained it to them, that's when we got an inkling that there was a little bit more than just a disabled community out there, because they say, "Let me tell you how my wife, my husband, my brother, my uncle, my niece and nephew all pulled the wrong lever and all went over the handlebars and all got hurt and everything." And I'm going, huh. So
that's the one that you'll see in the patent drawing if you pull up the patent.
Yes, that's true. And
it's about 5 times the size of the current version.
Yeah, when we finally hit the market, we wanted it so that it could be installed within about an hour. And now we've gotten to it we've shrunk the size, we've shrunk the weight, the efficiency. David took this last version out, and for the first time he goes, "Wow, that's better than I imagined." True?
Yeah. And, the last 2 versions, when I've tested it, it's exceeded my expectations for what I was shooting for. So,
well, at the break,
it's pretty good.
At the break, we're going to do a little demonstration and stuff, and take some time with that. And I did have a chance to look at it on the bicycle over there, and from what I see, it looks like it was a part of the way they came with the bicycle. I couldn't tell that it was even anything that you put on there.
That's why we have to do more marketing.
Yeah, we're not visible enough.
Yeah. So how does had we talked about how the brake director actually works?
Well, I'll just go over the my design agenda for it was we're eliminating one of the hands. This is, of course, we're talking about the commonality of cable-operated brakes that you'll find on most bicycles with handbrakes. And so when you have two hands, what you can do is use the brakes individually. You can pull both levers, or you can pull one or the other, depending on, if you're just rolling along and you're just slowing and controlling yourself, you can just use one or the other. You have all of that control. But if you really need your brakes and you really need to control a very safe stop in a kind of an intense situation, you really need to pull on those brakes for the maximum amount you can get out of them, and yet keep the bike under control at the same time. So if you're going over to just one hand doing all of that, it's kind of a challenge. So the agenda there is, what do two hands have that one hand may be able to have mechanically? And power is one. You have the power of two hands. You have the distribution of two hands. The levers, each brake has its own lever, so whatever you're putting into the lever is getting to the brake at the maximum efficiency that system is capable of. If you go over to the simple two-cable lever, what you have is one brake actually limits the other, so because the maximum force that you can generate on one side is then what's left over can go to the other side. It's initially split in two, so whatever power you're generating from your hand is halved, and actually it's more than halved because you're only generating that power to one side, really, unless you adjust it very precisely. So what we have with the brake director is there's a differential that allows 100% of the force that you're putting into the lever to go into the brake director and out of it, and then the force is magnified. It's doubled by a gradient cam that actually more than doubles the force leaving the brake director to the brakes. It takes care of the motion issues, it takes care of the clearance issues, like you want to be able to release your brakes when you have a flat, things like that. And so it's got a ratio that gets the shoes to the rim in the normal way, the normal range of motion, and then the gradient takes over and doubles your power.
Wow.
So you have full differential, you don't have any force loss, and not only that, but it's doubled, and it's all there.
That sounds fantastic.
And what that power also equals control. There's a lot of sensitivity you have as a result of all that. And so you really have a lot of lever to play with to really sensitively engage the brakes to just the degree that you want.
Let me share you a true story that I've told to many potential brake director clients, and I even told them this morning the same story. I was riding with a group of people around Sword Park, and they came to this hill, and they turned into what I call hot dog cyclists. They were going down at full speed. They were weaving inside of each other. It looked like I didn't want to be the needle that was going to be destroyed by those bicycles. But the key thing to me was when they reached the end of the hill, they all slammed on their brakes and they all skidded to a stop, like 10 or 12 feet. It was a Sunday, no cars killed them, anything. But they looked back at me and they realized, David, you're up at the top of the hill. What the hell are you doing? And I was saying, I'm saving my life. Thank you very much. So they said, get your ass down here. So I started.
They all spoke in that odd falsetto.
Yeah. So anyway, I start going down. My computer says I'm going 22 miles an hour. I pull on the brake director just to get down to about 16 miles an hour. About halfway down, I say, I'm going to stop right there. And they said, yeah, and you, what elephant, huh? And so I came right down to the end of the hill, came right to the spot that I chose and stopped right where I wanted. And they said, damn, that thing really does work. And I said, yeah. And that's a true
stops on a dime.
It stops where you choose to stop. And even in circumstances where you're losing control, I had the actual choice of saying, do I want to crash or fall off the bike on concrete or grass? So I was able to make decisions about it. And I've even, in testing, I've had crashes where the brake director was hanging down. I still could ride the bike and go to where I wanted to do. But, it's every test has come out with a learning curve.
one more story of a test. We were invited out to Indiana University Med Center to show the brake director to the Riley Children's Hospital. They had
Wow.
a whole clientele of special needs people that they wanted to see the applicability of this to their situation. And we set up this, they had this really nice long hall, really high ceiling, long linoleum floor. And we set up a stopping distance test on that. And the brake director stopped 10 feet shorter than the regular brakes on the bikes, on linoleum, which is to say.
Yeah, both of
An
us
odd
were
surface to be
shocked
stopping
about
on.
that.
Usually would consider you'd be sliding on linoleum. But
So it serves to say that whether you have the actual need from having one hand use or not, then it's a great thing across the board. Why doesn't every bicycle have
Well,
something like this on it?
Well, we did have
a lot
a
of people
situation.
ask that.
No, who knows? We did have a sort of a moniker. What would you do with a free hand? What what kinds of things that would allow us to use. The analogy is, and we actually have a flyer that basically says, a power brake pedal stops all four wheels of a car. A brake director stops two wheels on a bicycle, and it operates on the same analogy.
Yeah, one obvious application is turn signals. The proper automotive hand signals are all done with the left hand.
Mm.
And on a bicycle, when you're using the brakes, you really need both of your hands on them. I've been in many situations where I've been able to signal for a little bit of the turn, but at a certain point in the turn, I've got to put my hand on the brakes to continue it. So with the, say you had the brake director set up for your right hand, you could do all of your common automotive turn signals.
So let's talk about what types of bicycles can use the brake director. Any kind, or?
Any cable-operated bicycle.
Yeah.
But
Bicycles with cable-operated brakes. There's some talk, too, of adapting. There are now some hydraulic adaptations that interface cables with hydraulics. So there's that possibility, too. That's some stuff that's out there.
But running down the list, it's the regular bicycle, the electric bicycle, the recumbent, the tandem. Didn't we put one on a cargo bike?
Well, yeah, just any bike that uses handbrakes and, specific applications. Tandems often have three brakes. They usually have the regular brake system and a drag brake. The drag brake is simply to control speed. It's just a brake that you set lightly to slow the bike down. And so for the captain, which is the rider in the front doing all of the control and steering, the use of all three brakes is a nice reason to have the brake director, and that you can set up the main brake system in one hand and your drag brake control in the other.
Yeah.
Some people do desire that.
Yeah, we had a customer. We supplied 4 different riders with brake directors for riding the 2004 Seattle to Portland. And I went down and took pictures of them and had interviews with them. And the guy rode down with his niece on a tandem. And at the end of the ride, he says, "I'm buying this, David, but you scared the hell out of me." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "David, it's the first time I've taken my hand off the handlebars to operate the drag brake without risking my life or limb."
Mm.
But it's that kind of interest that fascinates me, that we were able to prove that just even 1 year out from the start of the company.
So let's talk about the installation. How do you install it? How difficult is it? Who has to do it?
Well, would it be good to show that at this point? Take a break.
Well,
and
let's
set up
let's not take our break yet, but let's we'll run that out as an open question, and then when we get into our demonstration,
Okay.
we'll show that. That would be a good one.
Well, simple installation is choosing which side you want to install it from. And then you simply install the cable properly into the brake director from the brake lever. It just uses the same cable. And there's a certain, of course, way it attaches in. And then you just set the brakes up absolutely normally. You just run the cables, gap the brakes to the degree you want them to the rim, and that's it.
Do you have some type of an instruction manual or
Yes.
some demonstration? Because if you're
We-
selling it all over the world, then
No, we have complete written instruction manual
Yeah.
that we send out.
And everybody that's bought them has had no problem.
100% success on that, and that. We invite people to call up for consultation, and on a few cases, people have called up but have gotten their answer fairly quickly.
Yeah, today was somebody downloaded the instruction and actually called me on my direct line to inquire about it, and they were a client, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. And they wanted to understand how the brake director would work in their specific situation, and so I let them explain to me what they needed, and then I explained how brake director would basically blend into that need. And after I explained it to him, he got his wife on the phone and talked to her for a while, and then they literally ordered 2 brake directors before we came here today.
Great. Fantastic. I've got one last question for this little section, and I'm going to save a couple of them for either during this demonstration or maybe more likely like afterwards. So you talked about, do you make these, or is there a manufacturing plant that makes these?
Currently, it's made of 4 pieces. There's the body or chassis, the swing arm, the cam, and the differential cable yoke. And those are all made from aluminum blanks that we currently are having machined by a retired Boeing machinist who has his own little shop.
Oh, okay, great.
Down in Tukwila. And he's giving us a good price.
Super.
And then from that point, though, I do all the rest. I do all the finishing and set up. I install the bushings. I trim everything to the correct dimensions.
So you're a local legend in the bicycle manufacturing
legend in my own mind.
community.
No. I say this about David. He is a true genius as it comes to bicycles. There are very few people in the country that have his level. I always tell this story about bringing in a bicycle to tune every spring, and this one guy dropped off his bicycle. David looked at it and sort of, it says, come back in about a couple of hours. The guy came back in a couple of hours, got on his bicycle, left, and then about an hour later came rolling in and then dropped his bicycle and said, "What'd you do?" And he says, "What do you mean?" He says, "I bought this buckle X years ago. It's never been this good. What did you do? You didn't say anything." And it was just amazing to hear that somebody say that. And he says, "Well, I saw a few things that I needed to adjust and so forth." And he says, "Well, I'm coming back to you from now on. You just blew my mind." And that, to me, is the epitome of where David is a genius. He's also worked on bicycles for people who do tricks at the Oregon State Fair. And this guy has, what is it, cerebral palsy or what David?
Well,
Yeah,
that's.
But the point is he's found solutions for all kinds of
Yeah,
situations.
no, that's really cool. I had a real good friend, my next door neighbor Tom, when I was a little kid for years, was like the only kid that rode a unicycle. And
Whoa.
it's like, whoa, we thought it was like so strange and everything. I grew up in Ohio, and but he drove in the little parades and stuff, and the little town we grew up in. So yeah, I love it. So yeah, we're gonna take a little break. We'll be back more of episode 38, talking about the brake director. Not to be confused with brake director. This is the brake director. We've got David Kravchuk and David Hawkins. And we're going to do a little demonstration and perhaps ask maybe a few questions during that part. Otherwise, we're going to do that and then come back with some more of the interview. Okay, well, we're having a little demonstration here. Why don't you show us, point it out, and show us how it looks on there, and just give us a little bit idea about how you put it on there, and then show us a little demonstration how it works.
So here's the brake director unit right here, and it's attached to the left lever. This is my personal bike, and I normally have it set up on the right side, but if it was set up on the right side, you could only see the back of the thing. So I put it on the left for this occasion so you could see the workings. And this is the differential. As I pull the lever, you'll see the differential rise up. And so the cam is pushing up on the bearing here, pushing up on the swing arm, and it's causing this differential to rise. This differential is pulling 2 cables, and it's distributing the force equally between the 2 brakes, in so much as the linkage on the bike allows it to distribute the force equally. So, also, you'll notice that the cam shape changes. I'm getting the shoes to the rim, and you'll see that this steep curved part of the cam is used up there. And I'm getting right up to the flat spot right as the shoes hit the rim. The flat spot is suddenly a 2-to-1 ratio. But you have a very smooth transition, so there's no sudden shock of going from 1-to-1 to 2-to-1. It kind of tapers up as you go. So you pull the lever, and you also have greater lever pull once your shoes are in contact, where you're actually feeling what the brake is doing as you're braking. You have a lot of sensitivity just because you have this long gradient now of a 2-to-1 ratio. I'll pick the bike up momentarily and show you. I'll get both wheels spinning, and you can see, boink.
Wow.
Both of the wheels are stopped. Okay.
Wow. I love it.
See, and when you're on using the brake director, your actually weight and the actual movement of the bicycle are synced together, so that when you're stopping, because the equal distribution of power to each wheel, it's almost as if they're synchronizing the spin of the wheel, which means your stopping power is linear. You're not shifting from one to the other. You're not having one wheel overwhelm the other wheel or underwhelm it. And that gives you the ability to have full control as you're stopping. And literally what I've said to people is that you can go down from 16 miles an hour down to 15 miles an hour and just glide your way all the way down the line to a finish. In an emergency stop in front of the Bicycle Federation of America, I rammed it up to 16 miles an hour and slammed on the brake and stopped in a short 10 feet with my feet on the ground and no crash.
You have a lot of control of your brake modulation just from your positioning on the bike. There's a kind of a 60-40, 70-30 rule of front brake versus rear brake. What that's actually based on is the tire friction and the natural lifting moment that occurs when your weight goes forward during braking. That instantly causes the arcing effect of the front wheel to cause a lifting moment, it's called, which actually unweights the rear and weights the front proportionately. So that's the actual 70-30 effect. You can modulate that to a great degree by throwing your body weight around. You can actually throw your weight back, sit it up, you know, depending on how fast you're going, of course, you can get low and throw your weight back. Or you can just sit up straight, kind of lift on the front of it, things like that.
How about just pointing out a little bit without going into the whole thing, but pointing out the areas or kind of giving us a little bit of an idea on how you would install it?
Yeah, I was going to do that next.
Perfect.
The brake director is actually comes to rest, if you look on the back here, this yoke piece actually comes to rest fully on the body of the brake director, which means that you don't have to worry about the sensitivity of the setup to begin with.
Wow.
You can simply set the brake up as you normally would on a cable from a lever. Just gap it to the extent that you think that you would like it to be. And the brake sets up entirely normally that way. It releases very easily on either end. There's no worry about releasing one versus the other. So you have a flat and you need to get your wheel out. It's a simple thing. Just one cable comes from the brake director, and it fastens into this cable barrel that attaches to the cable here behind the cam, so that the cable simply pulls the cam. And then this uses normal barrel end cables, which is the type of cable this lever uses, to go from the differential to the brakes.
Yeah, I don't know if I had said it on camera or not, but the thing I noticed about it is it looks like it's a part of the bike anyhow.
Yeah.
That's why we have to do some more marketing.
Great. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to point on the demonstration before we got back into the interview?
I think I've covered it, everything I can think of anyway. Unless you have some other questions.
No, not right now. I mean, I do have some stuff, but we can get back in our seats.
Okay.
So we'll be right back with some more questions.
You are listening to Greener Views.
Gravity connects me to the earth, which connects me to people who connect me to myself more honestly. And gravity connects me to the crust, which connects to the leaves on the trees that make it possible to breathe.
little. They would tell us that we don't know how we feel or how to connect with other people on the planet. Oh, if we only knew the power in each blue disillusion little. In the vision of one resides all, destroy the individual, for this is critical. The self ain't everything, has to grasp, to cling, to mask material vastly shipwrecked beings. At last, release the greed amassed with capitalist tasks and contact. The mass communication is all we have and dwindling fast.
Okay, well, hey, great demonstration, guys. Thanks, I loved it. So welcome back to more of episode 38 of Greener Views, and we're back with David Kravchuk and David Hawkins. My mind is like not as fried as I generally think it is. From The Break Director. So let's see, I had some questions that we had a chance to look at it. How much does the Break Director cost?
The present price for it is $160, and then installation, if it's local, it runs from about $45 to about $75, depending on the difficulty.
Yeah, we just have a sliding scale, and the maximum you'll ever pay is $75.
Depending on the bicycle.
Depending
Yeah, so
on
$160, I mean, that's pretty amazing as far as I can tell.
Well, you know, I
Yeah,
did...
for a complete cottage industry sort of thing.
Yeah.
Domestic
Yeah,
production.
no, I did a lot
What you get.
of research, and we figured out what we could price it at. And we're comparable to any bicycle accessory at that level. The quality of the workmanship, the professionalism, and the what I call the professional installation. We do not recommend that somebody, unless you're an ex-Boeing engineer. We had a guy, Ron, that moved it off of a bicycle onto a recumbent and then rolled it into David and said, "Is this okay?" And we found out he was an ex-Boeing engineer, so we actually said, unless you're an ex-Boeing engineer, don't install this yourself.
So how does somebody order it? Is it online? Is it any stores?
Yes. It's not in any stores yet. But yeah, definitely online.
So is that the breakdirector.com or
No, it's just breakdirector.com.
breakdirector.com? And we'll have all that on the video and on the site and everything.
Yeah.
So let's see. So what are you most passionate about this product and the intention and the experience that you've had with it so far over the last
9 years.
9 years?
Well, let me put time in my 2 cents, and then I'll ask David what he thinks of it. From my standpoint, I've always believed in doing things well the first time. And when you think about it, it took us 16 years to get to the marketing version, the first marketing version. And we've gone from that version to two versions now. The third version is more elegant, more marketable. But the thing that makes me very proud to put this product out is that we have changed people's lives. Those videos were unsolicited, just say what you want. And we've heard back from people. We have a guy that is down at the Jet Propulsion Lab in California, and he actually has sent us pictures as he's lost weight. And he keeps on asking, when can I get the newest version or something like that.
Is it 3.0? Is that the newest version?
Yeah.
I would call it the 3.0, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so I mean, that's for me.
Of versions we have had on the market.
So changing people's lives is great, but you know, there's also the idea of, and we've only done this with my niece, but the idea of a child being able to stop when they choose to stop and not end up in the street, or you know, somebody that just always is. One professional who was talking to me says there is no professional bicyclist out there that hasn't done the wrong thing at the wrong time and had a crash. And he said it's all about the brakes. And he says, don't sell yourself short, guys. You got something that deserves to be out there. And that just really helped to motivate us to go forward.
I can't help thinking about it. I don't want to press on it too much, but about the terrible thing that had just happened on that bicycle thing. Was that California or something? Or it was supposed to be, what is it, like one of the top 10 toughest bicycle courses in the world, and a guy had just got killed on it within the last several days. I think it was California or something, but it was like coming down this big hill, and there was like there was stuff in the paperwork and stuff on the course saying this is a particularly like really bad thing. And this guy, it was the first time he'd ever done it. And
Sounds like all the ingredients were there for a disaster.
yeah.
Oh.
So how about you, David? What are you most passionate about as it relates to the Break Director and the work that the people that's affected?
I just have a little bit of pride in that. I feel like I designed something that's extremely effective at doing what it's intended to do, which is supplant the use of two hands versus one. It's highly adaptable. It can solve a great many problems. It can simplify braking. It can actually, if you simply want your brakes to be more powerful and sensitive, it can do that for you. And it can go literally anywhere the cables can reach to it and from it. So different designs of recumbent, tandem, any number of vehicles that are using bicycle braking systems can use this. It's a great workaround in that way. So I feel like it's a real good plug-and-play device for that. And it makes the brakes good. I've personally ridden, I've ridden STP more than 25 times.
Wow.
And I've used the Brake Director, in the last, over the last 6 years, I think I've ridden 4 times the STP using the Brake Director. I found nothing wanting at all. In fact, I found that it actually handled certain critical braking situations better than trying to finesse modulation with 2 hands. The Brake Director simply seemed like it knew what to do.
How long is that? That's how many miles is that?
Roughly 200 miles.
And how long does that take
And
approximately?
you have the option of doing it in 1 day or 2 days. I've done it in 1 day.
And how many hours is that?
I think my fastest day was somewhere between 10 and 11 hours for
Wow,
1 day.
200
But
miles.
I was motoring.
Yeah,
in
that's
good shape at the
fantastic. You've
time.
done that
But
25
it's
times.
more fun. It's more fun if you do it in 2 days.
Yeah.
It's just a rolling party if you do that.
Yeah. Well, we know those crazy. We were talking in the break. Those crazy bicycle stories, the behind the scenes, and the bicycle polo players. So we get in. This is we were talking about before we started the interview, kind of joking around about a little bit of the esoteric and existentialism and stuff, and we actually incorporate that a little bit into our interviews. So we want to ask each one of you, who or what has had the greatest impact on your life so far?
Going from me, I would say a woman named Isabel B. Berger, who ran the Children's Theater Association of Baltimore, Maryland, and she used theater as a means of human development. And that literally energized my imagination and took me from the standpoint of her philosophy of saying, if you play somebody else, the more you give to somebody else, the more you experience different roles, the more you learn about yourself until you become your real self. And I'm a product of her teaching.
Sweet.
So that was the most influential person, first of all.
Sweet. How about you, David?
Boy, what's the immediate answer?
There's
to that?
no right answer or wrong answer.
That's a hard question.
It doesn't have to be a particular person. It could be a thing in your life.
I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I remember at between 19 and 20 years of age, I just decided to leave and go to the West Coast. And I feel like I immediately just gave myself the challenge of making a life out here. And I feel like from there, my mind has just expanded immensely.
They say the West Coast will do that to you.
Yeah. So, I started out in San Diego and steadily moved north, lived in San Francisco for a while, and then actually owned a bike shop in Mendocino, California.
Oh, sweet.
Moved up here from there.
Mendocino. We were talking a little bit about, I just saw a movie before yesterday that just really inspired me. But what about a recent book or a movie that's been influential to you or inspirational to you?
Oh, my God. Since they just finished the Seattle International Film Festival, I saw 78 films, so it's a little hard to...
How many?
78 films.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Well, just pick one, please.
I'm running the scenario. I think the one that had the most impact to me, it didn't end up my number one, but it was a documentary called Chasing Ice, and it's all about global warming and climate change. But this guy went out and actually photographed the ice literally splitting, falling down. I would say anybody that's anti-climate change, you sit them down to this movie, they don't have a leg to stand on. It was one of the most incredible experiences, and National Geographic was the foundation, and I thought it was just amazing. I recommended it to all my people to go see.
I don't think anybody's actually anti-global warming. I think it's people doubt whether it's actually happening, and people doubt about whether the humans actually have any kind of play in it. But that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah, we can't go there
That's
today.
a great movie, Chasing Ice. How about you? Any book or movie or anything?
Like you say, no
recently
wrong
that's been
answer. I don't know. It's like I really key into the science programs. You know, it's like
Great.
I get it.
We like science.
I
We
sit
got a
down
couple
on
nerdy guys
PBS and I see
behind
the Nova
behind
stuff
the camera,
come on,
behind the
Discovery Channel stuff. You know, like Cash Cab is my favorite.
Cash Cab.
I love Cash Cab
Okay, I'm not
because
sure
I
what
know
that
all
is,
the
but-
answers and the people in the car don't know them. So that's a lot of fun. But anyway, what I love is the science shows, especially the ones on astrophysics and astronomy lately, have been pointing out that science as we know it is leading us more and more to the big we do not know what the heck is going on out there.
Yeah.
And I really like that. I really like that science is finally finding the actual frontier of its knowledge, that it's sort of like we have worked with what we could see and what we knew and what we knew how to play with to a certain point. And we're finding now we're at a barrier where all of a sudden we recognize that there's something out there that we can't see or play with. And
Heavy.
yeah, no, and you know this is not metaphysical. This is actual science. They have actually made some recent discoveries over the last 10 years of what they call dark matter. They've actually quantified dark matter, and they've actually observed dark energy. And these are energies and states of matter that weren't around for Einstein didn't even have these on his plate when he was developing the theory of relativity, let alone Newton's laws of motion. So here we go. You know, it's like it seems like we're on the frontier of a whole new science. And,
Okay, well, there you
anyway,
go.
I get a buzz off of that stuff. So
I get that. I love it. Well, thank you for that. So, any upcoming events or any information or anything that you want to share with people out there?
We are in the process of putting together an event at Magnuson Park. We're going to be at the beach area. We're going to do a barbecue. Come if you're hungry. But we will also do test rides with brake directors. We'll have a few bikes up there, and if they purchase a brake director from us at that point, they will also be able to get a small discount. And our whole attitude for doing this is saying, take a test ride, then come in and talk to us on camera and just say whatever you want in 30 seconds to a minute. And that way we get new reactions, fresh reactions. We haven't done that since, 2005? Yeah. So we're overdue. We're overdue
for that.
Yeah, so I think we can have a great barbecue. Nobody's going to walk away hungry. But at the same time, it'll be a great way to advertise and get ourselves known within the community.
And you'll have all the information on your site, I imagine.
Yeah, very shortly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, how do you? So let's put that out. What's the contact phone numbers, website URLs, the emails?
There's Facebook.
Facebook.
You can get to us on Facebook through emails and through the website. And there's a listed phone. There's a phone number that's listed for breakdown.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why don't you throw out those social media and contact.
If you're on Facebook, you just put Brake Director into the search engine. You'll pop right up to us.
Sweet.
We're just learning how to use Facebook, so don't be excited. But if you want to post something, that would be outstanding. We also are we put some stuff into Craigslist, but we're also going to advertise this event at Craigslist. There is on the personal side of Facebook. I'm going to put together an event that will link up to our site, and then they'll be posted on Brake Director. And we might have a few flyers put out there at certain shops, just letting people know this is coming. If you're hungry, come on out If you want to take a test ride, that would be great. If you want to speak to us, that would be outstanding. And if you want to purchase one, we'll love you forever.
And of course,
Forever's a long
BrakeDirector.com.
time.
Yeah, absolutely.
BrakeDirector.com. Got a phone number? 206?
206-285-6518 is our message phone. We check it about every other day. If there's a message there, we will get back to you. And that's the way we've been setting up our company since the website went live.
So what you got, like info@BrakeDirector.com? Is that the email address? Or
No, it's David K at BrakeDirector.com.
David K at BrakeDirector.com.
And on our website, that's on every single page. So if you need to have a question answered or anything like that, I mean, we get questions from all over the world, Sweden and, Iraq. And, but the whole point of it, the foundation of it, is that we wanted to build something that really does change a rider's experience. And for the disabled community, it's empowerment. It's literally saying to you, not only can you have the ability to ride a bike, but have full control over the brakes with whatever limitation that you have. And we actually have a disabled section of our site where we delineate what we can and we can't do. If you've got balance issues, we would recommend that you be on a recumbent. If you can swim in a pool and you have legs that don't work, then a hand cycle with a BrakeDirector installed will be a great experience. I even saw that on a Extreme Makeover homeowner edition. Everybody was riding the bicycle except the wife who was in the pool swimming. And I'm saying, why can't she go with her children on a hand bike recumbent that would allow her to experience the same thing that they do as a family? I think that would be a wonderful thing to do, but I never picked up the phone and asked for them.
Well, it's never too late. Well, I absolutely love it. I mean, we honor and we highlight the forerunners of change here, and I definitely see the BrakeDirector as one of those great services and products out there.
Spell BrakeDirector.
BrakeDirector.
Yes, and as you're on the website, it's all one word, BrakeDirector, spelled that way, .com.
Great, thank you for that. Okay, well, listen, we always end it out by asking you, and you can choose to take on the side of science or the side of metaphysics. Leave us with some wise advice, a helpful hint, or a word of wisdom, each of you.
Do you want to take a first shot at it, or do you want? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you.
Kabang, yes.
Yes. Let me throw you something. I mean, I've been a disabled person since the 16 months, so I grew up and everything was normal. Over the years, I've come up with this philosophy, which is it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that determines whether it's going to be a good experience or a bad experience. And there's always choice. To me, that's what keeps me going forward. Even with the circumstances of the current environment, economically, financially, situations could be better. But the point is, wake up every day and saying, what can I do to make a difference?
Sweet. I love it. Thank you.
David, you're up.
You're
let's
up.
see, platitudes. Don't simply react. Think about what you're feeling. Don't be too afraid. Take on the challenge.
I love it.
It's like,
Well-
just, try to work with it.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, David,
Wonderful.
I could not do this without David, and hopefully he feels the same way about me. But the point is, it's we've had our ups and downs, but I'll tell you, I'm very proud that we're still here. I'm very proud of our product. I'm very proud that we make a difference in people's lives.
Well, I'm inspired by it, and I think it's a great product. And likewise, without Michael and Randy, we wouldn't have such a great podcast here at Green Reviews. So on that note, we'll leave you with thank you so much, guys. This has been episode 38 of Green Reviews, and we've had David Kravchuk and David Hawkins from BrakeDirector, BrakeDirector LLC, BrakeDirector.com.
All of the above.
All of the above. And on behalf of Randy and Michael and myself, thank you. To advertise, sponsor, donate, send feedback, it's info@greenreviews.net. 206-650-4587. Please check out AmbrosiaDigitalMedia.com and HealthyHomecast.com. That's it. Thank you. Have a great night. Bye-bye. Those guys are such good waivers.
Thank you for listening. Greener Views is part of the Healthy Homecast Network. Check out all their conscientious and sustainably focused podcast programs and businesses at healthyhomecast.com. Greener Views is created, developed, and produced by Daryl Whalen. Our audio engineer is Randy Parcell. Our video producer is Michael Schwartz of AmbrosiaDigitalMedia.com. Music for this episode was provided by SlapJazz.com, DanFagens.bandcamp.com, and JDHobson.com. Your feedback is important. Please feel free to contact us with any comments or questions, including suggestions for guests and program topics. You can call us at 206-650-4587 or send a direct email to info@greenerviews.net. Be sure to check back often. New episodes coming soon.